So Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have been going at it with each other. If you've been watching the news the last 2 days, the last couple of days, a lot's been going on. So let me break this down for you, for those of you who haven't been paying attention, as simply as I can. So in about December 2018, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, they had a meeting. I think it was at Elizabeth Warren's house. And she told them, I'm going to run for president. And apparently, Bernie Sanders told her he doesn't think a woman can win the presidency. Is this true? Did he really say that? This is the question now. Because what's happening is that he's being accused of being a sexist. The thing is, Elizabeth Warren didn't say this herself at first. Her team leaked this to CNN. Okay? Now, the timing of this is really questionable, because in 3 weeks, you already have the Iowa caucus. Okay? And this is not just the first primary, but one of the most important ones. And to put out a giant smear like that about Bernie, I mean, come on, man. It's really questionable timing. This happened over a year ago. Why are you just talking about this now? Right? If this happened in December 2018. So that's the first thing that doesn't make sense. The other thing is that in 2016, Bernie Sanders told Elizabeth Warren to run for president. And when she didn't want to, he ran. How does that make any sense? If he is such a sexist, if he really thinks that a woman can't be president, why would he go to a woman and ask her to run for president? Especially, it's literally her. He went to her in 2016. That don't make no sense to me. And not to mention that he went and campaigned for Hillary Clinton, right? I mean, how many events did he do? I can't even remember how many. Dozens and dozens of events in dozens of states. Come on, man. If he is really such a sexist, he would not have campaigned that hard for Hillary Clinton. I mean, I personally think he shouldn't have campaigned for her to begin with because she cheated him. But if he is allegedly a sexist, like you're saying, why would he have campaigned for her then? Why would he have gone and told Elizabeth Warren to run for president? I think what happened is they're twisting his words and they're taking them out of context. Okay, so let me show you the statement that Bernie Sanders put out about this. Sanders denied the characterization of the meeting in a statement to CNN. It is ludicrous to believe that at the same meeting where Elizabeth Warren told me she was going to run for president, I would tell her that a woman couldn't win, Sanders said. It's sad that 3 weeks before the Iowa caucus and a year after that private conversation, staff who weren't in the room were lying about what happened. What I did say that night was that Donald Trump is a sexist, a racist, and a liar who would weaponize whatever he could. Do I believe a woman can win in 2020? Of course. After all, Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump by 3 million votes in 2016. Solid points right there. And, the thing that's worrisome is that at first, because this story was, doing the rounds in the media for a day or two and snowballing and getting bigger and bigger and gaining traction. But Elizabeth Warren stayed quiet. I mean, that alone is a statement in itself, because by not denying it or not giving context about the meeting or about what Bernie said, she's letting the leak from her team, she is letting this allegation that Bernie Sanders is a sexist amplify. She's letting it continue by staying silent. Why would she do that? If we look at the entire field of the Democratic candidates right now, I would have thought that Elizabeth Warren is the closest to Bernie Sanders. If you were going to pick one ally out of any of them, it would probably be Elizabeth Warren, right? So why would she do something like that to him? Now, she finally did say something. Let's take a look. Bernie and I met for more than 2 hours in December 2018 to discuss the 2020 election, our past work together, and our shared goals, Warren said in a statement to ABC News. Among the topics that came up was what would happen if Democrats nominated a female candidate. I thought a woman could win. He disagreed. And that's all she says. And she just says, I have no interest in discussing this private meeting any further because Bernie and I have lots in common, blah, blah, blah. Hold on a second now. What did he say exactly? You don't think that's important? I mean, you have no interest in discussing it further, but I'm pretty sure people would like to know what happened exactly so that there's no misconceptions about this allegation here, right? I think what Bernie Sanders did is he told her that, yes, Donald Trump will weaponize anything he can against you, And there is sexism in politics. That's a fact, right? And does that mean a woman can't win? No, of course not. I mean, just as he said, Hillary Clinton had more votes than Trump. The point is that I don't think Bernie Sanders told her a woman cannot win the presidency. No. And the fact that she's not clearing it up enough is really shady, because this is not the first time Elizabeth Warren, muddies the waters or doesn't really give you the whole truth. What was that whole thing about her ancestry, claiming that she's like part Native American and then using that to her advantage, and then turns out it's not true, and then pretending she's for Medicare for all until she's forced in a corner, and then even that, no, man. Elizabeth Warren has a habit of not always giving the clearest picture, is what I'm trying to say. Okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if this were the case once again. The other thing is that, why do people like Bernie Sanders? They like him because he's honest. He just gives you things the way they are, and he says, let's fix them. Okay? He's not trying to like calculate things and say what's fashionable. No, he's telling you, okay, we have these problems, XYZ, and we got to fix them. So if he had really told her that, I think he would have owned it. I don't think he would be saying one thing privately and then another thing publicly. No, I think if he had really said it to her in private, then he would have just owned it and explained why he had said that. Do you understand? So I don't think this is what happened, and I don't trust Elizabeth Warren because of her record. I'm going to go with Bernie. Of course. He is the one who is known for being genuine, for being honest. I trust him more. And the fact that the timing of this is, it tells you everything. It speaks volumes. 3 weeks before the first primary. Really? Come on, man. It's a no-brainer. This is a smear. It's a smear. Either she's in on it with her team, or she has no control of them. And both are really bad. And she didn't clarify or clean this up enough, and that's really concerning. Bernie Sanders is flat out denying it. She should have done as well, because there were the only two people in the room. All these people who are giving this conjecture and making up this garbage weren't in the room. It was only them two. And you saw how strong Bernie Sanders' statement was. He's flat out rejecting it. I believe him. If he would have really said it, I think he would have owned it. Elizabeth Warren just, he disagreed. And then she stops. She's like, I have no interest in discussing this further. Yeah, because it seems like it's backfiring on you. This whole thing also is coming after she's been dipping in the polls. We looked at her figures for the last quarter a few days ago in a video. 4th place, man, with the fundraising. She came in 4th place. She's not doing that well, man. So what does she resort to? Smears. Because she can't go after Bernie on policy. He's the Cadillac package, all right? She is the great value version of Bernie, not the other way around. She can't go after him on policy, so she has to do a smear. It's very unfortunate. It really is. Personally, I don't think this is nothing too bad for Bernie, that he can't recover from or something. No, I think it's fine. It'll blow over in a few days and everything will be Gucci. And, Bernie Sanders, speaking of Iowa, he's number 1 in the polls in Iowa right now. He's doing great. I think he was number 1 in California as well. He's tied statistically for 1st place with Joe Biden. Nationally, it's good. He's doing good, man. Again, I'm not a poll truther, but if you look at the fundraising figures too, you look at how many people come to Bernie's rallies, man, he is the front runner. Okay. Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren can't even get that much people to show up to their rallies in a wet dream, like maybe once a year or something. It's not happening. I don't think I've ever seen a Joe Biden rally with more than like 100 people in it. And yes, Elizabeth Warren, sometimes she gets huge crowds, but it's sometimes, not all the time, like Bernie Sanders, right? So Bernie Sanders is effectively the front runner. And this story right here, I don't think is going to damage him too much. It's complete. It's not even true. I don't believe it. Of course it's a smear. That's what my gut tells me. That's what Bernie's character tells us. That's what Elizabeth Warren's character tells us. The records, no. This is a no-brainer. And the worst part is, it came from people who weren't even in the room. How can we just know? How can we know the truth? It's always going to be he said, she said. And by the way, just to show you how ludicrous this whole idea is that Bernie Sanders would think a woman can't win the presidency, look at the statement that Tulsi Gabbard put out. She said, I also met with Bernie Sanders before announcing my candidacy. We had a nice one-on-one conversation, and I informed him that I will be running for president. In that meeting, he showed me the greatest respect and encouragement, just as he always has. There you go. That's the Bernie Sanders we know, and that's the truth. Okay, I don't think he would have treated Elizabeth Warren any differently, or Hillary Clinton, or any other female candidate for president. Okay, and tonight we got the debates. I'm kind of excited for it because it's only going to be 6 people this time, even though that's still a lot in my opinion. It should be down to 3. But it's better than when we used to have 10 people. That was a disaster. So anyway, we'll see what happens tonight. We'll see if this gets mentioned at all. I wouldn't put it past CNN to do that. Okay, because they are the hosting the debates. So they might go to Bernie Sanders and be like, it was reported allegedly, yeah, by you motherfuckers, that you do not think a woman president can win. Is that statement true? And do you still believe that? You know, even though they know it's just conjecture and they have no proof of it, and they know it's out of character for Bernie Sanders, and he didn't say it, they're still, just by bringing that up, they've planted the seed in people's minds who are watching that, oh, Bernie Sanders is a sexist, even though he's not a fucking sexist. This guy's been defending women's rights since before any of us were born, okay? I don't know any other politician who defends women's rights as much as Bernie Sanders. I don't know any other politician who defends minorities' rights, LGBTQ rights, as much as Bernie Sanders. So this whole idea that he's a sexist is ludicrous, okay? I mean, we've been through this before. You remember on MSNBC where that stupid pundit was like, oh, he makes my skin crawl and I have a feeling like he doesn't like women or something? Like, what? Dude, Bernie Sanders was made an honorary woman, okay? And everyone knows that he's a true feminist. So why are you saying garbage like this just to smear him? You have ulterior motives, okay? I don't trust you. You're trying to smear him because you know you can't go after him on policy. And the fact that you would smear him with stuff that he's been an advocate for. He's an advocate of women's rights and minorities' rights. You would go after him for that? Like, what is this upside down logic? How dare you? It's mind-boggling, man. It's really mind-boggling. Like, the guy has been busting his balls for 40 years, defending people who are marginalized, defending women, LGBTQ, people of color, and then you're going to say he's not been doing that and like spit on his record and put his record to shame? What is that? And there's also a video of him even saying in the 80s that a woman could be president.
The real issue is not whether you're black or white, whether you're a woman or a man. In my view, a woman could be elected president of the United States. The real issue is, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of workers and poor people, or are you on the side of big money and the corporations?
And then people could say, oh, that was the 80s. Dude, he just told Tulsi Gabbard that she can do it, and he encouraged her. He tried to push Elizabeth Warren to run in 2016. He campaigned for Hillary Clinton. This is not just something that, was like 20 years ago or 40 years ago. Damn, the 80s was really 40 years ago. Oh my God. But you get what I'm saying? He always been like this, just like with any of his other positions. Anyway, I'm done with this, man. I'm done. There you go.